faces. Give me a smile and a wave. Hey! Cool. One more, one more, one more. Perfect. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So, what I'm wanting to suggest to you guys is if you are watching this, you probably only have one screen. Some of you might have two screens. If you have two screens, amazing. Put my call on one screen and then put the following URL, the code.strivemap.com/chat URL on another screen. If you only have one screen, split your screen in half. So then put half of the screen to the Google Meet and half of the screen to the chat. What I want you guys to be able to do is follow along with me. Worst case scenario, if it's not working and you're unable to follow along, just watch. Watch and try and absorb. There'll be a recording of this call at the end, and that reminds me, I should definitely be recording. Let me start that now. There'll be a recording of this call at the end that you guys will be able to watch and go over it. So then you can just listen and try and absorb as much as possible. With that having said, let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to come to code.strivemap.com over here. And what I actually want to do even is put you guys over there. And now you guys can see my screen. Okay, so you'll come to code.strivemap.com. We're going to click New Chat. And we're going to try and make this a little bit interactive. We're going to start first and foremost with just trying to build a project using this and seeing what we learn as we go through it. I'm going to make my font size a little bit bigger so I can make sure you guys are able to see it. Let's start. We're going to start by trying to create the game Pong. So very simple. Let's just go ahead. I'm going to say code me a game of Pong. And let's see what the AI is going to come up with. While the AI is generating this, I want to explain one thing. The code that you are about to get when you run this command to versus when I run this command are completely different. AI is this fancy thing called non-deterministic, meaning for if I give it the same input 10 times, code me Pong, I'm going to get 10 different outputs because the way it really works down deep down is like there's a lot of randomness and noise. So it means that things aren't always the same. So the journey and the problems that I'm going to experience are not going to be the same problems you experience. But the principles of how I try and solve these problems is going to be what's important and what I want you guys to then try. So we're gonna keep going here. And there we go. Okay, we have Pong, and we could see, okay, we've got W and S for me is able to move it around, and up and down has broken my right paddle. So now when I press up and down, for some reason my right paddle has disappeared, and I have no idea why. Luckily, this is the intermediate workshop, so it means that I'm assuming you guys know how to code to an extent. And one of the things you're going to notice immediately is this code is not Python. This code is JavaScript. Luckily, there is a lot of similarities between Python and JavaScript, so you guys should be able to understand it. But if you don't understand it at any point, hey, you can ask the AI to explain it for you. But let's see if we can find what has happened with the up or down arrow. So I'm not even too sure, but as you see in my one, I have my left paddle, but my right paddle is gone. Here's my first lesson. Don't give up if things go wrong. Try and explain the problem. So the first thing I'm going to say, I'm going to be very specific. My right paddle disappeared. Disappeared. I'm not sure what the problem is. Can you try fix it? So this is a classic kind of prompt that you can just say. You can say like, hey, there's something that went wrong. Can you fix it? The lesson that's important here is don't just say something has gone wrong. You need to be specific. The AI can't see this. The AI at this point in time isn't advanced enough yet that it has computer vision and it can understand what is happening. What it is seeing is just this code output. So if you just say something is wrong, it doesn't necessarily know what's wrong. You need to be very specific in directing it to say what is wrong in order to get more likely output of it being correct. Okay, so let's see and hope that this has worked. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's see. It still disappears. I wonder, so I'm going to just put it in full screen. but something is going terribly wrong with this. And so we're going to keep trying to see if I can solve this problem, because this is exactly the kind of stuff that's going to happen when you start trying to code a game. Something weird might happen. If I look at the code, you know what might even work? I might cheat a little bit. Okay, if you need to log in for more prompts, so I'm seeing this problem, please log in. So if you followed the messages, make sure you have a registered account. When you have a registered account, you'll get 20 prompts. And then everyone, once you're registered, I'll upgrade you so you have 200 prompts. So make sure to log in, and you can log in using Google or whatever in order to do so. So, okay, let's just carry on. What I wanted to do is I want to actually see if there's an error that's coming up. So what I said is, as I open this in full screen, I'm going to right click inspect. This brings up something called developer tools. And then I'm going to come to console, and let's see, I don't think we are getting any errors, unfortunately. Let's see, when I press up, it disappears. Okay, so this, we could keep going and keep trying to see if this is going to work. Instead, what I want to do is start over. So what could happen sometimes is you could keep trying and it may not work. Some of the times the best thing to do is to start from scratch. So I could just start a new chat and say, code me a game of Pong. And you could try be a little bit more different in the way you prompt it. So code me a game of Pong, and make the opponent, so make the computer paddle on the right-hand side automatically follow the Y position of the ball. So this prompt is a little bit more advanced. I'm making it very specific. Notice I'm not just saying code me a game of Pong. I'm being very specific to say, hey, make the computer paddle on the right-hand side follow the Y position, because what I've noticed from this one is that, okay, something with the computer paddle on the right side isn't working. So let me just try and change the way that it works. And we'll try that. We'll try that one more time. While this is generating, I want to explain the approach that this is taking. The approach that we're taking here is one of a top-down approach. I'm saying start with a game of Pong. So code me the entire game, and then I'm saying, okay, let's add stuff or change things. Another approach that you could take to this is to start from the bottom up instead of the top down. What does the bottom up look like? It means you start with each component piece one at a time. So you'll say first, hey, code me a ball. And then you're going to make sure that the ball is bouncing off the different sides. Oh, yes. Let's see. And now we have up or down. Okay, cool. So this game of Pong worked, which is awesome. But as I was saying earlier, this approach that we said is top down. Bottom up, you can say, okay, code me the ball, code me the left paddle, code me the right paddle, and you build up each piece one at a time. That can be a much more reliable way to get to the end output that you're looking for, because that tends to be more, each step along the way, you're able to see what went wrong. With what I did previously with this guy, it was just one step and it was difficult for me to find what went wrong. But I know, okay, if between adding the ball and the right paddle it broke, something is broken at this particular step, and I'm able to try and find it. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now let's add on top of this, because we don't actually have the game. Firstly, we want collision detection. So you can notice the ball is just going straight through it. So I can say, hey, add collision detection. So the ball bounces. And now what do we want the ball to bounce off of? So the ball bounces, add collision detection. So the ball bounces off the paddles and the walls. Notice, you need to be specific. If I just said add collision detection, it doesn't necessarily know what I need to add collision detection to. So the more specific you're able to be, the better. And let's hope that we are getting something working here. So it's busy explaining the code, and it's going to go ahead and do a bunch of stuff. So it's so nerve-wracking when I'm looking at this. I'm like, is it going to work? Is it not? Who knows? Okay, it's very satisfying, I'll say that much, as it just like writes the code. I'm like, so cool. Okay, let's see. So, am I getting collision detection? I don't think so. Okay, and another thing I'm noticing is that it's quite annoying that when I'm pressing up and down, my whole screen is moving because the scroll bar. So I can say, hey, change it so it uses W and S to move the player controller instead of that one. But at this point, I actually want to take some input from you guys. You guys are welcome to either type in chat or to come off mute. What should I try and add to this project? What do you think we should do next? Particle effects, mouse control. So be more specific. When you say particle effects, what do you mean by particle effects? In what way? If you mean mouse control, what do you mean by mouse control? Sound effects. So that's actually a good point. One thing to note for this is that sound and audio will not work. Sorry, sound and images won't work. So we don't have built into the system yet enough of sound or external images. So you can only use what's kind of inside of regular code like this to create stuff. So external images and audio won't work. The paddle should move up with the mouse. Okay, so let's try that. So I've got that suggestion. And I also have if the ball hits the wall and screen shake and red particle exposure before every paddle. Okay, let's try this. I like this. I really like the suggestion. Let's start with this one. The paddle should move with the mouse. So what I want to try here is say move the left paddle with my mouse. I think that'll be a little bit easier. I love all these ideas. Give the ball a random color every time the ball collides with a paddle. So we're gonna give this a shot. What I want to try, so we've got an order. The ball hits the wall and screen and shake red. Particle explosion. Okay. The creativity here is off the charts. As this goes. Okay, there we go. Cool. I've got left paddle working, which is nice. Now you can control the left paddle with your mouse. That is perfect. Okay, let's. So one thing I'm noticing as well is that this thing is not really working. So the computer paddle is being a little bit weird. So I'm going to be very specific in this case and just say make the computer paddle for Y position equal to the ball's Y position. This way, it's just always going to follow. It's going to follow it exactly so that the computer's paddle is always exactly aligned with the ball. So this is a great place just to highlight the difference in your ability to make these things if you understand how to code. This is a very technical statement that I've just made. I could have said again, hey, the computer paddle is not following the ball correctly, but the computer may not be able to understand it. What I've said here is I've specified exactly how I would have implemented it in code because I understand it on a deeper level. And so it illustrates to you as you guys get more and more advanced as well in your coding and AI skills, the more you're able to understand, the more specific you're able to make prompts like this to know what the solution for something might be. And as I say that, it obviously breaks. So I wonder what might be the problem here, um, and if we can see what the issue is. So I'm going to try and find where it is drawing this. So this line of code is where the right paddle is being drawn. I want to see if I'm able to spot what the error might be. So one thing you guys can do if you really want to, especially intermediate, you can copy paste the code. So I'll copy paste all the code. Our editor right now doesn't support JavaScript, but you can come to editor.p5.js, and then you can copy paste the code in here. And this might make it a little bit easier for you to see what the issue is. And actually, yeah, now I'm getting an error. P5.js on this line, rect was expecting a number. So on line 57, it was expecting a number for the second parameter, but instead it receives an empty variable. So this right paddle dot y, yeah, there we go. We can see it. Okay, so here I found the error. Okay, I just want to go over these exact steps again. What I did was I took all of the code that it generated, copy pasted it, and I put it in editor p5.js in order to perhaps get a better error message. In here, I was able to then say, okay, this something happened on line 57. This is what went wrong. Right paddle.y. So I'll go and find where's right paddle defined, and I can see in right paddle y is not defined here. So I'm going to go ahead and say y, I don't know, make that equal to 0 for now. And now if I run this guy, it works. So I was able to fix this. I can now go back into my code and be like, let's try this and be very specific. So we can say, you forgot to declare. So I'm going to copy paste this one. I'm going to say, you forgot to declare the y variable in this. Please fix it. So here I directly identified it, and I've told the AI exactly what the problem is. And let's hope that this works. Yeah, now we've got a Y. It's doing all the things. One thing you could also do to make this, another suggestion actually out of it is like in your prompt, ask the AI to leave very detailed comments. And then in the code that the AI generates, you will then get really nice comments and it will help explain what is happening. And there we go. It worked. And the collision detection of the walls is working. I am going to stop with Pong for now because this worked really well. Let me have a look at all of the chat messages that you guys have sent. Instead of doing this, there are a few problems making the paddle for the wide player. Yes. Yes, this is true. The player will never be able to score them. So maybe it's just like you have to make it points so that you only get it's not about scoring, but about getting the most number of points by being able to respond to it. So feel free to obviously manipulate this game however you guys want. A good question here. Instead of doing all of this, can't we code one without bugs ourselves? Yes, 100%. That is definitely the goal or intention. For this particular challenge, what we're trying to do, though, is flex our muscles in understanding how to use AI. And so we want to try and only solve the problems through AI prompting. But it's, as you just saw, I was able to fix the problem because I was able to understand how to code it. And it's supposed to give us inspiration for the amazing things we might be able to code or things we can never think about coding. So let's try a different project. I want to try something with 3D because 3D does work here. I'm going to try the following. I'm just going to say, code me a grid of, so, okay, I want to be very specific. Again, the more specific you can be with your AI prompts, the better. So I'm going to say, code me a 5x5 grid of 3D rotating squares, rotating cubes. And let's see what we get here. So it's about also now understanding what is available to you as tools in this, right? So here we're introducing elements of 3D. Could you make 3D? Ah, awesome! Look at that. That's sick. So here's our 3D cubes. Let's say I want to go ahead and say make the color of the cubes change with the position of our mouse. And let's see what we get here. Okay, look at this. That is unbelievable. So now I'm moving my mouse around and the outline is changing. Do we have any ideas on what we might want to add to this? To this particular one of 3D cubes? While I'm waiting, I'm going to do one more prompt and you guys can suggest anything. Okay. Color changing cubes, they're already changing color. What I want them to do though is I want to try this, make each cube rotate around its own axis slowly. So what I'm trying to do is I want each cube to be rotating in different directions, rotating around its own axis in different directions slowly. So hopefully you're seeing how like just all of these different ideas of, okay, I create a project, what can I do to try and add on to it? Change the shapes to spheres. We're trying that next. I love that. If the screen clicks, change the shapes to spheres. So let's keep going here. So, what are we creating? Okay. When I click, I love Anna's things. When I click, change the cubes to spheres. Let's hope. Check if clicks. Yeah, okay. So here we can see. So we can see the way. Okay, let's see this. That's amazing. Wow. 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 Guys, I don't even know what to say here. Um, but this is so cool. Okay. Any what else might we want to add to something like this? You know what I actually want to try and do is I want to try break it, right? So obviously you guys are gonna have really incredible ideas as you do this, right? And your minds are gonna go crazy. My general suggestion is the more crazy though that you try and make something, the more likely it is to break. The more ands like make so like for this particular project, if I'm like, okay, when I click, change it to spheres and make a dinosaur appear and make an explosion and give me $1 million. The more ands you add, the more difficult it is going to be. And so the general suggestion is always do one and at a time and try and keep it somewhat reasonable in regards to what things you might be able to work. So let's see how let's try this. What prompt? Who can give me a prompt that we can break this so that like we're likely to get an output from where we are right now that it is not going to work. 3D Fortnite, yeah, that's going to be tough. But let's go for this particular project. What I want to say, add X to this project, and then when we add X, Y, and Z, it's like the computer's like, no. I do actually remember. I remember trying this. If I was like, um oh, it's a good example of this. Like, code. Yeah, let's even try like code me a fully fledged game of Fortnite. What the AI should tell me is that it can't do it if we've done this right of Fortnite. Um, imagine it just does. Yeah, we see. Okay, there we go. I'm sorry, it's not possible to code this. Um, and so you can see it's asked a different question, like what do you want to create instead? Add 10 layers of this behind it. Oh, wow. That's actually a cool idea. I actually think it would be able to do that. So right now we have a 2D grid of 3D cubes, right? We go five across, five down. But imagine we went five across, five down, and five going back and forwards. So um, let's try that. Can you make a 3D grid of cubes, 5 by 5 by 5, and rotate the camera mirror continuously? I mean, this might just work, but I don't think it's going to break it because I think this is achievable. Um, but I think we might see some really cool stuff. Let's see. So we should see 3 for loops. Yes. Right. So those are the 3 for loops. Okay. Cool. So now, but just what ended up happening, so we have a 3D grid of cubes, but we lost the color. So you can say now, again, okay, you forgot, so let's just try, you forgot the color and to change cubes to spheres when clicked. So some of the times this might happen that you will add something to your project and the AI will forget about what happened previously. You can always, if like, even if your chat breaks, what you can always do is you can just copy paste code from when one of them did work, paste it into the chat and say, hey, add to this particular code. Let's see. Okay, there we go. 3D grid of cubes. They're all doing. And I click, they change to spheres. This is it's so cool. They're not rotating, so it's just a reminder, please rotate each cube around its own axis. We might start running into like computer problems because this is getting more and more graphically intense around its own axis. Do we have any general questions at the moment? Because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to summarize what we've gone through and in particular focus on tips and tricks for your guys' projects as you try and submit them for the AI challenge. Wow. So trippy and so cool. Um, damn. Just so much damn. It's just not, I forgot to rotate the entire camera, so I'm just going to remind it, rotate the entire camera. Just so it's like spinning around what we're looking at. Okay. When this is done, we're going to then do a quick summary of all the things. And hopefully this will work. Amazing. This actually is one of the coolest projects I've been able to make um, with AI. I haven't made something this cool. And so we've been able to do it live. And it's mind-blowing. So a few things here. One, you can click on view full screen, and then if you want to share this particular project, just this project, you just copy paste this URL, and then you can share this project with whoever and be like, look at what I was able to code. This share button will share the entire chat. So what's really cool now is if I can give you guys this chat, so I'm going to share this chat over here. You guys will see all of my previous prompts and all of my previous working, and you can then click continue this chat. So let me open up in an incognito tab to show you what I mean. So I'm gonna, I think it's gonna not, what I can do is I can log out, I think. So I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna come back to that. Yes, okay. So now I've logged out and you can see I have this button, you'll have continue this chat. I can click it and now I can just keep going as if you were in my exact shoes. For some reason, I'm not seeing the chat thing. It should work. If you're logged in, it should work. Right now, I think there might be some bug, and we might look into it. But you should be able to then continue the chat. So share it with your friends. And as people are sharing these on the Discord servers, share your chats on the Discord servers, please. You'll be able to create more and more advanced and cool stuff. I'm going to log in again quickly so that we have access to all of this. I can't remember which account I used. I think it was this one. Yeah. Have you logged in? You should, if you're logged in, that's the key one. So if you're not logged in, then you will run out of prompts. And the other one is I'm going to give everyone again 200 prompts to start off from in case not everyone is that. So just make sure you're logged into the Stride Math platform. You'll click on the login button in the top right corner. Okay, I want to do a quick summary of the things that we learned. I'll go through the different chats to try and do this. One, okay, we can't do crazy things. We can't ask it to code me a game of Fortnite. We can only ask it to do pretty cool stuff, but within a reason of limit. And it's part of the skill of knowing what is within that limit. Fortnite, too much. The other thing that we have was when we did Pong. And we went through a lot here. One of the first lessons we learned was that if it breaks, like for example here, it's sometimes easier to start again from scratch as opposed to trying to keep going. Some of the times the AI is going to confuse itself. So don't give up. Another mistake you can easily make is that you give up too soon. It doesn't work first time. Let me just start again. Keep trying to give the AI more context. Be like, this isn't working. This isn't working. Can you try fix it? The more specific you're able to be with the problem, the better. We're able to eventually fix it. One of the cool things we did was when we had a bug. What was the exact bug? It was like we didn't have the right paddle. Let me find the one where that happened. Yeah, this one, right? This one, the right paddle disappeared. What I did was is I copy pasted all of the code. I went to editor p5.js and I pasted the code in. When I pasted the code in and ran, I got this error. And then I was able to start debugging it to be like, okay, this might be the error. If you don't know JavaScript, be like, hey, can you explain this error? So you could even come back, you can copy paste this, and you can come into your chat. Oh, which chat was it now? Over here, and be like, this. So we can go for this particular one. You can be like, this is the error I get. Can you fix it? And can you explain it to me? A whole thing we haven't gone over in this workshop is just asking the AI to explain things to you. What you can do in a lot of ways is one, ask it to put very detailed comments in your code. Two, if there are particular pieces of code you just do not understand, ask it. If you want to know, hey, what is it, for example, in this one, let's do an actual live example of this. For a 3D one, if I want to say, I don't understand how camera is rotating, or how does the camera work? You can be like, hey, can you explain how camera works? And you can change this up in a variety of ways to be like more suited for you, because the more context you're able to give the AI is better. So be like, I'm a complete beginner who hasn't done 3D before, hasn't done 3D coding before. Explain things simply. So this is the prompt I'm able to give it, and let's see what it actually comes up with. So here, I can explain the in 3D space. Yeah. And so here, okay, it's starting to explain things. It's giving us the camera function in P5.js looks like this. Um, it's explaining each one of these different things. And so you're able to read through this. And if it's too long for you, if it's too boring, you can be like, make it shorter. If you want to be more inspired, you can ask it to explain it to you something. Like if you said, for example, I really like Formula One or I really like soccer, you're able to ask it to explain to you concepts in context that you like, or even ask it to be like, hey, explain it to me like you're Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean. And then it's going to speak to you like Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean. That is that, guys. I think we've gone over everything. The key one then is like create your different chats, make sure to share them. Please put these on the Discord, share them with one another, help inspire. Like the things that we're going to be able to create are incredible. And this is so new. We only built this earlier this week, is when we created this tool. So we don't even know what this thing is capable of. You guys are going to discover it. Go ahead, create your projects, create your videos, submit them. Deadline is on Wednesday next week. I'm going to end this workshop a little bit early. Next steps is go and join our Discord server. There'll be a Q&A. I'll be there and a few other teachers will be there to help answer any questions. But that is that. If you don't have prompts, what I'm going to do right now is give everyone 200 prompts again. Make sure you are logged in. If you haven't logged in, go and log in now. And there we go. Okay, if you ran out of prompts previously, you should now have 200 again. And then be careful with them. We may not give more prompts if you run out of this, and you maybe will need to pay in order to get more prompts. Okay. I just updated it like right now. So 2 minutes ago, the update came through. Yeah. And so you should get it. Okay. Amazing. There we go. Okay, good luck, guys. Get involved in the Discord, and I'll see you guys soon.